Joe Biden was asked a question regarding a 8-year-old transgender girl from the mother at the town hall, and he gave an interesting answer that I want to talk about. But before we get into that, my name is Greg Foreman, and you're watching A Black Conservative Perspective. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share. A Black Conservative Perspective, aka a liberal's worst nightmare. You can also follow me on Twitter at GForemanBCP. Let's get it. All right, guys. So take a look at this clip of Joe Biden's answer at the town hall in regards to this woman's questions regarding possible discrimination against her 8-year-old transgender daughter.
Comes from Mika Hack. She's from State College, Pennsylvania. This is your first presidential election that you're voting.
Yes.
Hi, Mika. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm the proud mom of 2 girls, 8 and 10. My youngest daughter is transgender. The Trump administration has attacked the rights of transgender people, banning them from military service, weakening non-discrimination protections, and even removing the word transgender from some government websites. How will you, as president, reverse this dangerous and discriminatory agenda and ensure that the lives and rights of LGBTQ people are protected under US law?
I will flat out just change the law. Eliminate those executive orders, number one. You may recall, I'm the guy who said, I was raised by a man who, I remember I was being dropped off. My dad was a high school educated, well-read man who was a really decent guy, and I was being dropped off to get an application in the center of our city, Wilmington, Delaware, the corporate capital of the world at the time. And these 2 men, I'm getting out to get an application to be a lifeguard in the African-American community because there was a big swimming pool complex. And these 2 men, well-dressed, leaned up and hugged one another and kissed one another. And I'm getting out of the car at the light, and I turned to my dad. My dad looked at me and said, Joey, it's simple. They love each other. The idea that an 8-year-old child or a 10-year-old child decides, you know, I decided I want to be transgender. That's what I think I'd like to be. It'll make my life a lot easier. There should be 0 discrimination. And what's happening is too many transgender women of color are being murdered. They're being murdered. I mean, I think it's up to now 17. Don't hold me to that number, but it's higher now.
Yeah.
And that's just this year. And so I promise you, there is no reason to suggest that there should be any right denied your daughter or daughters, whichever, if 1 or 2, one, your daughter, that your other daughter has a right to be and do. None. 0.
All right, guys. So the first myth I want to bust is the myth that the military has banned transgenders. This is a lie. A lie, guys. The difference between a transgender and transsexual is that a transsexual has actually been through reassignment surgery. So they, got their penis cut off, or, they've grew one or something like that. Some crazy stuff like that. The transgender, however, still has their same biological organs that they got at birth. However, they are choosing to identify as the opposite gender. Keep in mind, now, this is the official military policy, the official Department of Defense policy. The new DoD policy doesn't ban transgender individuals from service. A transgender person is someone who identifies as a gender other than his or her biological sex. For example, a person who is biologically male but identifies as female may identify as a transgender. That's exactly what I just said. Transgender individuals are not excluded from military service, and DoD policy specifically prohibits discrimination based on gender identity. Remember, the super liberals say that gender is a social construction, okay? This is the super liberal argument here. So the military is not discriminating based off whether or not you identify as male or female. But all persons, whether or not they are transgender, must meet all military standards, including the standards associated with their biological sex. Waivers or exceptions to these standards may be granted on a case-by-case basis. So, guys, This is clear. Clear. The military does not discriminate against transgender individuals, guys. The only thing is, they say you can identify a man or woman if you want. Let's say for example, you're a man and you have a penis and you want to identify as a woman and join the military. You can do that. However, you got to meet all the standards associated with being a male. It is what it is. And that's essentially what they're saying. Because you were born with a penis and you have testosterone. And there's different physical standards for men and women in the military. And the super liberals try to act like this is some revolutionary thing. It's not. Again, when people try to talk about, oh, the military is discriminating against transgender people, nobody's discriminating against transgender people. They're just not trying to make special accommodations. Now, I will say, if you're trying to talk about transsexuals, on the other hand, now, this policy may discriminate against them. Because, again, when it comes down to be a transsexual, you're taking hormones, you're actively trying to become, the opposite sex. Honestly, I don't know what you would do in that situation. I really don't. But that just seems like a lot of maintenance, right? But anyways, so Joe Biden, first off, should have dismissed that. He should have clarified what the actual policy was and stop letting this myth that the military discriminate against these people go unchecked. 1. 2, he should have been a responsible adult and asked this woman, hey, how do you know that your 8-year-old daughter/son really wants to be a girl? How do you know? And have you actually had a conversation with them to suggest that maybe they should wait before they make this decision? That's what he should have said if he was going to be a responsible adult, because that's what bothers me about this whole, transgender, transsexual thing. I don't care what you do when you turn 18. I really don't. I'm a libertarian on that. But I'm not a libertarian when it comes to children. I'm not. When it comes to kids, we all know that young kids believe all kinds of things about themselves. They have no idea how the world works. They have no idea about their sexual identity. They have no idea about anything. And at this young age, they're very susceptible to all kinds of information. And this is why I have a problem with the way our society is moving in a direction where they want to make it okay and encourage kids to identify as transgenders. Because how do you know that this little 8-year-old boy, biological boy, male, once he hits puberty, how do you know he's not gonna be like, well, shit, I'm actually a boy? How do you know he's not going to grow out of this little phase? How does an 8-year-old be able to mentally make a decision about what gender they want to be? How does that work? Because we all know, there's little boys that grow up and want to wear dresses and they want to be a little, they might be a little feminine, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they want to be transgender or transsexual. That's not what it means. It just means they're going through a phase. And most of the time, they grow out of those phases. That's how kids are. Kids are innocent. What Joe Biden actually should have said was, have you thought to get mental help for your child to make sure this is something they want to do? And that's what I'm for. Liberals are all for pushing for mental health. But they don't give a damn about mental health when it comes to these transgender and transsexual people. They don't give a damn. Because the conservatives have been like, listen, these people might have a mental illness. We need to try to treat this as a mental illness to try to make sure, this is something they really want to do before pushing them into a lifestyle that they may not understand and they may turn around and end up regretting. You have kids that are 15, 16-year-old getting sexual reassignment surgery, getting their penises cut off, taking hormones to grow breasts. 15, 16 years old. You can't even drink until you 21. You can't even drive until you're 16. In some states, there's a lot of things in our society we have that are prohibited based off age, but for whatever reason, you can get reassignment surgery. You can cut off an organ on your body, or you can grow an organ on your body before the age of 18. I don't understand. Again, I'm a libertarian on it. If this person has sought mental health and we've gotten that person mental health and they decide they still want to go through with it, cool. Do you? But don't sit here and try to act like we have to change our society and how we do things just to accommodate a very, very, very small group of people. If you're a man and you want to identify as a woman, but you have a penis and you have an XY chromosome, you still need to identify with things that are heavily reliant on your sex, such as being in the military, such as sports, for example. Would you allow a transgender woman to compete in women's basketball or women's soccer? It doesn't make sense. Now, I'm an advocate for if they want to have their own little sports leagues where they want to participate among each other, that's fine, because then that's fair game. Transgender, non-transgender. It is what it is. I'm all for that if that's what they want to do. But at the end of the day, sex matters. The hormones that you were born with, your sexual organs, it matters. And I don't care what the liberals say. I just feel like this answer that Joe Biden gave was just really irresponsible. And I think it just plays into the liberal agenda and the liberal narrative to continue to push the sexualization of children. And I don't like it. And it's one of those things that we have to be vocal about this stuff. And at the end of the day, nobody's saying that you can't do what you want to do when you turn 18. Nobody's saying that. Only thing we're saying is let kids be kids. That's all we're saying. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.